Imagine a bustling metropolis of 1,000,000 souls, crammed with wooden structures so close together that one errant flame could torch 10,000 houses overnight. Populated with samurai empowered to strike you down for the slightest show of disrespect. Includes stinking open gutters that reek under the summer sun, sudden tremors that shake the ground unannounced, and a class system so unyielding that donning the wrong garb might cost you your life. This is Edo, the shogun's stronghold and the world's most populous city in 1743, a realm where you might savor a masterful kabuki show at dawn, only to fall to a samurai's blade by dusk. Tonight, we're stepping into that world, not as distant observers poring over ukiyo-e in galleries, but as inhabitants enduring every sight, scent, sound, and peril of a single day. Your eyes flutter open into pitch blackness. For an instant, perhaps a fleeting half-second, location escapes you. Then it rushes back. The odors. Not a solitary whiff, but a complex tapestry. Fermenting miso from the crock beside your head. The crisp, fresh aroma of tatami under your body. Woven reeds swapped out last month, yet already heavy with moisture. Faint incense wafting from the Buddhist shrine in the corner. Sandalwood laced with a humbler note. Rice steaming in some nearby pot. There's always rice on the boil somewhere in Edo. The sizzle of mackerel grilling at an outdoor vendor. And lurking beneath, the subtle tang of night soil from the collector's early patrols, the murky channels a couple of blocks away, plus the residue on your own skin, since baths come infrequently, every few days at best, and fortune hasn't favored you recently. Greetings to Edo in the 18th year of Kyoho. To Westerners, it's 1743, the 8th month, though the moon-based calendar shifts the dates. You're sprawled on a meager futon in the rear chamber of a Nihon Bashi print workshop, perched over a slim waterway where traders maneuver their vessels before sunrise along Toryacho, the teeming heart of commerce in the eastern quarters. You're Saburu's, plain Saburo, 19 years old, fresh from a Shinano village 2 years back, armed with a single extra kimono, 3 copper mon coins, a headman's recommendation, and zero clue about the chaos awaiting. Folks at home warned that Edo would swallow you alive. They weren't far off. Temple chimes are tolling already, not from a lone sanctuary, but scores of them, perhaps hundreds. Sensoji's enormous bronze gong booms loudest, its reverberation sweeping the eastern wards, summoning devotees for the hour of the hare. What we'd peg is about 6 a.m., though clocks back then don't tick like ours 3 centuries hence. Days split into 12 uneven segments that flex with the seasons. Daylight drags in summer. Nights extend come winter. It clicks when your world revolves around sunlight, but baffles anyone from the modern era. These peals have endured for more than 100 years. Your great-grandfather's kin heard them too when Sensoji rose anew after the Meireki blaze of 1657, which claimed over 100,000 lives in just 3 days. Whole swaths of Europe's towns erased in that span. The shrine endured and was restored. The metropolis clawed back. The bells persisted, all so vivid, so immediate. Time to rise. Takamura-san will flay you if you're absent when the doors swing open. Nihon Bashi print houses stir at dawn. Hour of the dragon in summer, hare in winter. The sun's barely crested, yet the cries of vendors pierce the air outside, along with the clatter of wooden carts over compacted dirt and the slosh of water dashed from thresholds to tame the dust. Bare feet meet chilly floorboards, polished timber smoothed by generations of tread, refreshingly cool even now thanks to the stone foundations allowing breeze below. Your roommate, fellow apprentice Jiro, A fidgety youth from near Osaka slumbers on in the adjacent futon, divided by a flimsy paper shoji that muffles nothing. Shared quarters are standard, privacies for the privileged. Master printer Takamura and his wife claim the front space, shielded by Fusuma panels adorned with cranes amid pines. The rest of you crowd this aft area, 8 tatami at most, spanning about 12 feet square. At least Jiro's quiet in his sleep. You rinse your face from the basin, the water icy and faintly salty. You hauled that water from the canal just yesterday, lugging it uphill in pails right before the boats began stirring up the muck. Linked to the Sumida River, it carries traces from halfway across Edo by the time it gets to you. You'll have to grab a fresh supply soon, since the remnants now show a subtle brownish hue hinting at impurities best left unmentioned. Pipes don't deliver water to homes, not for ordinary people like you. Instead, you tote it one bucket at a time from the nearest available spot. Wells offer cleaner options, though the closest public one lies a good 10 minutes off, always with a queue snaking around it. The canal's far more convenient. Over time, you've picked up the trick of allowing the grit to sink overnight, then drawing off the clear layer from above. Your garments sit neatly folded next to your futon just as you place them. A sturdy work kimono of deep indigo cotton, its elbows mended with your own clumsy stitches from 3 months back. A coarse hemp obi, edges starting to unravel. A light Howery jacket to fend off the early chill, for even in the 8th month, mornings bite cold. Tabi socks, the left one's big toe sporting a growing tear you vow to fix someday. Get a sandals that clack sharply against the floorboards with each step. Your sole point of vanity is the furoshiki cloth stowed beneath your pillow, a simple indigo-dyed square with geometric motifs. No extravagance, yet it signals your role in the printing craft, dealing in artistry rather than slopping waste or scrubbing latrines. In this town, looks count for nearly everything. As you make your way down, no real stairs, just a sheer wooden ladder, Takamura-san is already in the workshop, eyeing the new shipment of cherrywood blocks that came in yesterday from the Asakusa carver. He's a sturdy fellow, around 50, with ropey shoulders and hands etched black forever from years handling sumi ink. Those fingers sense wood's texture through stacked sheets of paper, assess a block's worth by gliding over its etched face, blend ink to perfect thickness just from its whisper off the grinding stone. He shared perhaps a third of his secrets with you, yet your mind reels from details on paper densities, ink flow, reliable carvers versus those peddling hidden defects that wreck prints weeks down the line. You've absorbed which colors bleach under the sun, which endure for generations, ways to detect fakes, nuances in stroke finesse that distinguish a virtuoso from a skilled imitator. You're late, he mutters, eyes fixed on his task. But you're not. The temple bell has only just tolled the hour. He greets every dawn this way. You've grown wise enough not to contest it. By Ito's measure, the workshop counts as modest, perhaps 12 feet across, 15 deep, with shoji doors that slide wide to the street. When open for trade, they fold away entirely, transforming the space into a half-open stage where patrons observe the craft unfold. It's as much spectacle as business. Folks crave a glimpse of the enchantment. Racks along the rear wall cradle the blocks, scores of them swathed in labeled fabric, scripted meticulously in brush. Scenic views by painters whose signatures you're just committing to memory. Bijin prints of courtesans in lavish kimonos, faces powdered pale, stances evoking tales you can merely imagine. Kabuki actor portraits from the Yoshiwara and Sakai-cho playhouses, intense gestures captured in relief and pigment. Even a few shunga erotica stashed in Takamura-san's locked cabinet, since authorities frown on them publicly, but turn a blind eye if you stay subtle. At the room's heart looms the printing bench, a low platform where Takamura-san perches upright, gestures exact and measured. Nearby rest the ink slabs and brushes, piles of hosho paper from mulberry bark, gossamer yet tough as hide, crafted in Highland mills and carted here by savvy traders who spot excellence. The barin, that broad disc of plaited bamboo for rubbing prints, polished glossy from endless pressings. Each implement claims its spot. Every action flows without excess. It's no lavish pursuit, but it's straightforward labor. And in Nihon Bashi, that's where it thrives. 2 years in, the bustle of this quarter still stuns you. Back in Shinano, your entire hamlet likely held fewer souls than crowd this one avenue on any ordinary day. Nihon Bashi Japan Bridge is the hub where the nation's 5 main highways diverge. The Tokaido toward Kyoto launches from here. The Nakasendo over the peaks begins here, along with the Koshukaido, Oshukaido, and Nikkokaido. All the principal roads across the nation originate right at that iconic bridge, lending its name to the neighborhood. Quote, "Zero breaks down just as you'd expect. Nihon for Japan, Bashi for bridge, precisely what it represents." It's the epicenter of everything, the pulsing core of the Tokugawa realm, drawing all sorts of folks through its veins. Traders lugging cargo from Osaka, warriors journeying back to their estates under the Sankin Kotai mandate. That alternating obligation that demands every lord divide his year between Edo and his territory, draining their coffers dry while the shogun keeps a watchful gaze on them. Devotees bound for sacred sites, wrongdoers carted off to their fates, rustics hauling crops from rural fields, anglers delivering the dawn's haul from the waters. They all surge past Nihon Bashi, funneled like a river through a narrow strait. Your initial duty of the morning hits soon enough. Get the work area ready. That involves brushing the tatami mats in the rear chamber, cleaning the print bench with a moist rag, inspecting the ink slabs for any fissures, ensuring the brushes are spotless and stowed right, and sorting the paper piles according to dimensions and grade. Next, Takamura-san summons you. Haul back 3 pails of water from the canal and swing by Yamazaki's stand for natto, 2 helpings. Natto, those soybeans left to ferment. The go-to meal for laborers all over Edo. Affordable, satisfying, packed with protein, and reeking like decay, revived by microbes. You loathed it upon your arrival. These days, you can't picture kicking off the morning sans it. Snatching up the wooden pails and the scant copper moan that Takamura-san slips you, you step out, the roads buzzing with energy already. And by buzzing, I want you to grasp the full scope. In 1743, Edo. This isn't your typical urban bustle where you dodge folks on a packed pavement. This is mayhem. This is raw existence. This is a million souls squeezed into quarters meant for perhaps 100,000, each scrambling to endure the hours. Start with the setup. The lanes in Nihon Bashi are tight, around 12 feet across typically, 15 if fortune smiles. No curbs, no defined paths, just compacted dirt, gravel-topped at times, or plain slop when rains hit. You're navigating alongside all comers and their loads. Foot travelers, vendors stooped low with backpacks overflowing goods, litters borne by perspiring carriers in uniform attire, kago for the everyday sort, norimono for the elite. Distinctions show in the polish of the lacquer and the bearer count. Carts tugged by hand, piled high with produce, seafood, timber, ceramics, whatever sustains the metropolis. Vendors hawking water via yokes with dangling casks. Now and then, a samurai on horseback claiming total precedence, armed with dual blades while you're defenseless. Linger too long in his path, and he's entitled by code to strike you dead. Samurai, indeed. They're ubiquitous in Edo. The Tokugawa shogunate stations them here on purpose. Sankin Kotai, the alternate attendance policy. Each daimyo must keep a base in Edo and alternate his stay, towing along his full cadre of retainers. His spouse and heirs reside here year-round as pledges of loyalty, hence the city's teeming masses, hence its status as the world's biggest metropolis in 1743. For the Tokugawa shoguns grasped that dominating the warlords meant compelling them to squander fortunes on opulent Edo setups, all while their kin stayed under perpetual watch. And so, you, an apprentice printer from peasant stock, find yourself hemmed in by sword-wielding fighters who could end you lawfully for any slight. The statutes spell it out clearly. Kirisute gomen, the privilege to slice and depart. Should a lowly soul offend a warrior, the latter may dispatch him instantly and stroll off. A simple afterward account of the provocation, invariably rubber-stamped. Thus you master the art pronto. Plot your steps with care. Avert your gaze as a samurai approaches. Incline your head at the precise pitch, not slighting in brevity, nor mocking in excess. Discern status from sword carriage, kimono motifs, embroidered insignias. The din is staggering. Hawkers bellowing pitches in myriad regional tongues. Tofu, prime tofu, eggplant, daikon, leafy veg, salted fish, bonito flakes, mackerel, mochi treats, sweet mochi, ink slabs, fine ink slabs, umbrellas fixed, any umbrellas, all hollering to pierce the roar around them. Stay silent, and you're lost in the din. The uproar never quits, engulfs you, sticks like glue. Layer on top of it all the rhythmic clack of wooden geta against the pavement, the splatter of water hurled from storefronts to tame the dust, the groan of cartwheels turning, the shouts of canal boatmen, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the rhythmic chants of Buddhist monks gathering alms, and the endless hum of thousands of voices blending Japanese with Chinese, Dutch from the Dejima merchants, and local accents so heavy they're almost incomprehensible. By now you've mastered weaving through it. The trick lies in keeping your momentum and avoiding the gaze of anyone who seems eager to engage. Because in Edo, desire is everywhere, just like this moment when a vendor with a tray of wooden combs sidles up. She might be genuine enough. Combs get crafted in city workshops and hawked by roaming sellers from first light till nightfall. Still, it's easy pickings for scams, where a seemingly harmless comb peddler draws in a naive outsider while an accomplice snatches his coin purse. You lack such a purse anyway. Your scant copper mon are stashed inside your kimono's lining, bundled in paper to muffle any jingle. All your real belongings wait back at the print shop, so you offer a quick bow, mutter sumimasen, and press on. She shifts without pause to the next mark. The canal waits 3 blocks ahead. You hurry along, buckets swinging, careful not to jostle the coins hidden in your sleeve. A rice merchant's stall appears, its front thrown wide to reveal massive barrels sorted by quality, polished white for the elite, hardy brown for the masses. The aroma is pure and starchy, slicing past the surrounding scents. Next comes a fish seller, his stock laid out on pricey ice hauled down from the peaks. Tuna slabs, mackerel, squid, and odd shellfish varieties. The odor hits hard, briny ocean mixed with the faint rot signaling these catches must move fast. A sake brewery slides by, its fermenting tang sweet and bready, tolerable unless you're right up on it. Then a public latrine, a simple wooden shack over a pit, its stench so sharp it stings your eyes from 20 feet off. Night soil haulers will swing by later to clear it out, peddling the load to outlying farmers as manure. An entire trade runs on bodily refuse. Those haulers rank near the social bottom, just above the ETA who deal with corpses and hides. Finally, you arrive at the canal, about 15 feet across, its flow sluggish and tinted brown. Vessels are already plying the route, modest boats tugged by lone handlers, ferrying cargo from depots to vendors. A trader's craft glides past, piled with casks. A fisherman's skiff heads in from the bay, haul already bartered to dawn markets. You crouch at the stone lip and lower the first bucket. The liquid feels chilly and cloudy. You'll allow it to clear. Then you fill the rest. Nearby, a woman rinses produce, scouring daikon radishes right in the flow. You stay silent on it. You've come to accept that canal water handles countless tasks, and cleanliness is a matter of perspective. With buckets brimming, you make for Yamazaki-san's stand. The jovial fellow in his 40s vends natto from a modest awning near the bend. His stuff qualifies as solid, or the best you can expect from slimy, fibrous, sharp, fermented beans. Freshness shows in how the strands pull long when prodded with chopsticks. Stale ones snap, good ones link up. Saburo-kun, he calls, flashing a toothy grin minus a few. 2 servings for Takamura-san. Yes. He packs them in bamboo sheaths, secures with straw ties. Pass along to your boss that this latest run shines. Sourced the beans from Mito, top natto stock in the land. You pass the coppers. He hands one back, catching you off guard. The rate's steady. Perhaps he favors you. Or he's courting Takamura-san's repeat business. Or just feeling generous. You don't probe. You slip it away and voice your gratitude. The return trip drags, laden with 3 water-filled buckets and the natto parcels. The load bites deeper than back in your rural days. Your shoulders burn. You pause twice to readjust. A samurai strides by, and you drop the buckets at once, bowing deeply with gaze fixed downward. He ignores you entirely, not sparing a glance. You're no more than an object to him beneath even that. You hold until he's 10 steps gone before rising and hoisting the burden anew. Such is existence in Edo. Thread the tumult, defer to the bushi, haul the water, deliver the natto. Endure one more day. Back at the shop, Takamura-san gives the water an approving nod. He inspects the natto, peels open a packet, and tests the pull with chopsticks. Mito beans, he notes. Yamazaki-san's pulling out the stops. You stay silent about the extra coins you got back. Being truthful matters, yet there's wisdom in holding on to a minor edge now and then. The morning meal wraps up fast. Leftover rice warmed over the fire. Natto stirred with soy and sliced scallions. A bowl of miso broth featuring tofu and wakame. You kneel by the low table in the rear space, digging in. Takamura and his spouse sit opposite, eating steadily. Jiro's next to you, wolfing down his share as if it's his first bite in a week. He's got 4 more years under his belt here than you do. He's picked up plenty of insider knowledge, like the top communal bathhouse around, or the vendors on the corners who heap on extra servings, spotting when Takamura's truly content or just putting up a front, figuring out which wood engravers slip you a little something for steering business their way. Or the dealers in the Yoshiwara area who'll snap up prints off the books. No deep dives into their origins. He's also shared the silent code for getting by as a lowly apprentice. Never gripe, never probe. Push yourself to stand out with effort, but not so much that the boss starts eyeing you for bigger ideas. Hoard whatever spare cash comes your way. Stay low-key. Once the plates are cleared, the day's grind kicks off. Takamura's got an order from a rich trader in the Ginza quarter. A series of scenic woodblock images capturing Mount Fuji from various perspectives. The wood blocks were etched half a year back by an expert engraver from Asakusa called Hayashi, with 4 decades in the craft. Now it's time to run the presses. That's your role, handling the paper prep, which involves pulling sheets of the right thickness and feel from the shelves, inspecting everyone for flaws, rips, weak areas, stains, tossing the rejects, and organizing the keepers into neat stacks. Next, you moisten them. Not soak, just lightly dampen. It's a fine line. Mess it up, and the whole print's spoiled. Bone-dry paper resists the ink. Overly saturated stuff shreds from the force. You carry a pile to the moistening spot, a short bench in the nook with a broad water tray nearby. You mastered this from observing Takamura, then drilling it for months till it became second nature. Grab a single leaf by its edges. Ease it down to skim the water's top. No splashing in, no dunking. Let the water seep up through the weave via surface tension. Watch the sheet turn shade as the dampness travels the strands. Hold for a 3 count. Raise it. Allow the drips to fall away. Lay it gently on fabric. Drape another layer over. Keep going. Layer the treated pages between cloths. Set a modest weight atop to spread the humidity evenly. Give it half an hour. It's soothing labor, methodical and exacting. The sort that clears your thoughts while keeping your fingers busy. As the sheets absorb, Takamura mixes the pigments. Inks no plain darkness. It's a spectrum of shades. The velvety ebony from pine ash blended with hide glue. The warm tinged one from lamp black. The cool hue when tempered with woad dye. Each brings its own nuance, its richness, how it clings to the surface. For this job, he's chosen pine ash ink from a Nara-crafted bar. The bar's an elegant piece, embossed with symbols marking the artisan and its premium level. He rubs it against the slate, dribbling water bit by bit, circling lazily. The grind frees the soot grains. The liquid suspends them. The binder holds firm. The noise has a steady beat. Slate whispering against slate, liquid murmuring, faint grit unlocking. You gauge the stuff's worth by the audio. Top shelf ink flows even and silky. Inferior grinds rough. This batch sings true. When the paper's set, Takamura's got 3 grades ready. One for bold contours, another for tones, the last for solid depths. The actual pressing turns into a rhythm. Takamura sets the initial block on the bench. It's the outline plate holding the image's core framework. He daubs color onto the grooved face with swift, measured swipes. Enough to coat, but not flood. Too much muddies edges. Too scant skips sections. He pulls the top damp sheet from your batch, lines it up exact on the block. Wet. The paper goes sheer, letting him glimpse and match the relief beneath flawlessly. Then comes the barren, that woven bamboo disc, which he rubs over the reverse side. The gesture seems straightforward. Far from it. Force must be uniform. Overdo it, and the sheet rips. Underdo, and color fails to bite. He guides it in fluid. Interlocking loops, blanketing the whole design, then peels back the sheet. The result emerges, edges crisp like blade strikes. No smears, no voids. Flawless. He clips it to a line for airing in the space, and repeats the cycle, sheet by sheet, endlessly. That's the craft of woodblock prints in 1743, one at a time, layer by layer of color. For a multicolored piece, he'd have to position extra blocks, one per hue, with flawless accuracy. The crimson block, the azure one, the golden one, all match precisely to the foundational black outline. Such a vibrant print could demand 10 or even more distinct pressings, each offering a fresh opportunity for slip-ups. And a blunder on the 9th layer? The entire work is scrapped. That's the reason fine prints command a premium price. That's why experts in the craft earn deep admiration. That's why, even after 2 years, You're merely an apprentice. The expertise demanded is immense. For now, your duties involve ensuring a constant flow of paper, checking dampness in the sheets, overseeing the ink's texture, draping completed prints on the lines to dry without blemishes, and readying the subsequent stack while Takamura-san presses on. The morning unfolds in this steady cycle. Press, drape, ready, press, drape, ready. About mid-morning, as your knees begin to throb from the prolonged kneeling, Takamura-san rises and stretches. "I need you to handle a delivery," he declares. A faint dread settles in your chest. You recognize the implication. To Asakusa, where Hayashi-san has completed the fresh blocks for the Courtesan series. Retrieve them and return promptly. Don't dawdle, don't wander off, and for heaven's sake, don't let them fall. Asakusa lies north beyond the river, a whole other section of Edo. You visited once 3 months back and recall its maze-like complexity. "Hi, Takamura-san." He passes you a modest cloth sack containing coins for the ferry toll and a wooden token marking you as his envoy. Hayashi-san anticipates your arrival. He'll want payment upon handover. Give him this. Another sack, weightier. Verify the blocks before departing his workshop. There ought to be 6. Inspect for flaws. If anything's amiss, report to me first, without settling the bill. You incline in a bow, secure the sacks inside your kimono, and step into Edo's bustling lanes, heading riverward, Asakusa bound toward the uncertainties of the day. The northward trek to the Sumida River weaves you through familiar quarters and unfamiliar ones. Nihonbashi merges into Kadema-chu, the area housing the prison alongside the magistrate's quarters for those criminals pending trial. You hasten through this stretch. No benefit arises from tearing by Kadema-chu. The paths tighten as the river nears. The imposing trader mansions of Nihonbashi yield to modest stores, then to artisan sheds, then to cramped dwellings where families cram 5 or 6 per space and count themselves fortunate for shelter until the Sumida River comes into view. From here, it lacks grandeur at first glance. Just a broad ribbon of murky water, roughly 300 feet wide, drifting lazily toward Edo Bay. Yet this waterway marks the city's eastern edge. Across it lies Asakusa. Mukujima, home to the Yoshiwara Entertainment Quarter, falls outside Edo's formal boundaries, rendering it freer yet riskier. Warehouses hug the banks, lumber depots, rice silos, sake stores. All imports from the eastern lands reach Edo via Sumida boats, get offloaded at the wharves, stowed in these structures, then carted or carried citywide. The operation's magnitude overwhelms. Countless vessels, myriad laborers, a ceaseless stream of wares. This waterway sustains 1 million souls. You reach the ferry dock. Multiple spots dot the Sumida for crossings, but the primary is at Ryogoku, spanned by the Grand Bridge. Constructed post the Meiriki fire of 1657 that claimed over 100,000 lives, many drowning in chaos when the old ferries buckled under fleeing masses. The Ryogoku Bridge stands as a wonder, finished in 1659, some 84 years past. Stretching 600 feet, it relies on enormous timber piles anchored into the river floor, broad enough for carts to traverse bidirectionally, with sidewalks for walkers. No structures perch upon it. Unlike London's span, the Tokugawa regime heeded the fire's harsh teaching, yet daytime hawkers crowd it with pop-up booths peddling tea, onigiri, talismans, trinkets. But you're not crossing via bridge. It's gratis, hence perpetually jammed. From afar today, a snarl clogs the midpoint, likely a stalled wagon, a brawl, or sheer overload from the throng. You're opting for the ferry, which demands coin, but Takamura-san provided just for that. The dock juts as a stone ledge into the flow, with posts for mooring. 3 ferries ply this route, compact, shallow draft boats holding perhaps 8 to 10 folks alongside loads. Boatmen line the dock, hawking their routes to passers-by. Asakusa, swift passage. Mukujima, gateway to the entertainment quarter. Edo, lowest fare. You head toward the closest one, a fellow likely in his 40s, his features etched by the elements, and his limbs forged strong from endless battles with the tide. Asakusa, if you please, you say. 4 mun. That's a fair deal, less than you'd figured. You fish the coins from Takamura-san's pouch and pass them over. The ferryman jerks his head at the vessel. You ease aboard with caution, the craft about 12 feet in length and 4 feet across, hugging the surface for balance. Side benches offer seating. You claim a spot up front, clutching the gunwale against the sway. Soon fellow travelers join. An elderly lady lugging a produce-filled basket, a trader clutching his ledger, a monk in grubby traveling garb, and a young lady in finery, her ornate kimono and polished face hinting at Yoshiwara labors, heading home after an evening elsewhere. Silence hangs over the group, eyes fixed on the distance. With 8 fares collected, the oarsman pulls away from the dock, then drops into the rear, wielding a pair of oars. His pulls are deep and forceful, honed by long practice. The boat slices forward faster than you'd guessed. Your first trip across? He ventures toward you. No. The second, you reply. He flashes a gap-toothed smile. Not a total novice then. Smart. Water's gentle today. Week ago, gusts kicked up 2-foot swells. Idiot tourist heaved right over the rail. You stay quiet, focused instead on the city fading astern and Asakusa drawing near. Midway across, the shores stand out sharp. Southward, core Edo, with its rigid grid of blocks, even roof lines and tiles are straw. Northward, the outlying areas sprawl freer, structures huddling haphazardly along meandering lanes. The ferryman gestures at the grand temple sprawl on the far side, its pagoda piercing the skyline. Senso-ji, that's the granddaddy of Edo's shrines, started in 628, over 11 centuries back. Structures got rebuilt after the Meriki blaze torched the old ones, but the spot's timeless. You dip your head. You'd heard it before, but you let him ramble. Fairy folk love their yarns. Quote 16, he presses on. Quote 17, the hull nudges the north dock, another slab of stone ringed by mooring poles. You disembark steadily, letting the motion settle. Quote 18, the oarsman hollers. A quick bow from you, and your feet hit Asakusa ground. The vibe here strays from Nihonbashi. Not exactly shabbier, but untamed. Nihonbashi pulses with trade, deals, and coin. This place feels raw, like guidelines bend more than bind. Senso-ji looms over everything. It's Kaminari-mon, the Thunder Gate, looming some 200 yards off. That huge crimson lantern dangling mid-arch like a snared star. The sanctuary grounds stretch wide beyond, but the temple isn't your stop. Hayashi's place calls. You weave through lanes carrying unfamiliar scents from Nihonbashi. Heavier whiffs of temple incense, street eats for the faithful, bursts of showfolk flair. A tailspinner draws a cluster of listeners, a tumbler tosses fears, a sightless strummer plucks a shamisen. Structures crowd in tighter, no fire gaps like in Nihonbashi. They tilt inward over skinny passages, eaves nearly brushing. Hayashi's shop turns up on a quiet lane, a few blocks shy of the temple, squeezed amid a grain store and a right for the departed. The air stings your nose with mortality's tang, sacred smoke, and a haze of timber char. The entry panel stands ajar, inviting breeze and sun. Inside, an elder hunches at his bench, chiseling with flawless control. Age no hindrance. His blades whisper through the grain like extensions of will. You drop to your knees at the entryway, pausing for notice. Manners demand it. You don't barge. Presently, Hayashi glances over, gaze milky, yet keen. Takamura's lad, Saburo, right? Blocks are set. Enter. You slip off your gita and rise into the space, shavings crunching underfoot across the planks. Tools of all sorts cover the walls, chisels in various sizes, knives featuring curved edges, sharpening stones, dust-clearing brushes, and wooden blocks scattered throughout. Some finished ones are bundled in cloth, others midway through carving, and plenty of blank slabs ready for the artist's touch. Hayashi points to a shelf holding 6 rectangular blocks draped in indigo fabric. That's the courtesan series, 4 for the main figure, 2 for the backdrop. Let Takamura know I refine the wood grain in the kimono design. He'll notice it during printing. You edge closer to the shelf with caution. These are made from cherry wood, the prime choice for carving prints. It's dense and finely textured, capturing intricate details flawlessly. Every block measures roughly 10 inches by 14 inches, about an inch in thickness. You carefully unwrap the first. The workmanship is stunning. Fine, delicate lines define the courtesan's hair, each strand standing out clearly. Thicker cuts form the bold pattern on her kimono, a motif of plovers and waves, the sort of craftsmanship that demands days of labor, weeks to refine. Can I inspect all of them? You inquire. Naturally, go ahead and verify. I'm getting on in years, but solid skill doesn't offend me. You proceed to unwrap them one by one. You inspect the engraved faces for any fractures, nicks, or uneven areas. Your fingers trace the borders to detect flaws. Lifting them toward the light filtering through the entrance, you search for signs of bending. They're impeccable, every last one of the 6. What's the total due? You question, even though it's familiar. Takamura-san mentioned the figure, 32 monmi of silver. That's what we settled on last month, 32 monmi. From within your kimono, you draw the pouch Takamura handed you. It contains small silver pieces, cho and momme, the usual for bigger deals. You tally them precisely, 20, 25, 30, 32. Hayashi-san takes the coins without a recount on his part, a mark of respect among artisans. He folds the silver into paper and slips it into a drawer. Inform Takamura, these are my final courtesan blocks, he states abruptly. You glance up, taken aback. Final? My vision's dimming. My hands function, but the tiny details. He shakes his head. Landscapes remain within my grasp. Peaks and forests need less exactness. Yet these subtle features, the elaborate kimono motifs, these call for a younger touch. Words escape you. Hayashi-san has shaped blocks for 4 decades. He's a master renowned in the printing circles. I'm truly sorry, you finally utter. He dismisses it with a gesture. No need. All things conclude. Mine's been a fine stretch, longer than many. Those keen, aged eyes meet yours. You're picking up the craft. Yes, still apprenticed. 2 years in. 2 years. So youthful. Absorb all Takamura-san imparts, the techniques of printing, the dealings, the ties with carvers, paper makers, and color providers. This realm is shifting. Traditional methods won't endure indefinitely. What do you mean by that? He hesitates, then replies, the authorities are clamping down. The sumptuary laws. You're aware? You affirm with a nod. Those regulations limit what ordinary folk can don, consume, purchase, or flaunt. No silk robes for traders, regardless of fortune. No fancy hairpins, no lavish festivities. They evolve stricter every few years. And they touch prints too, Hayashi-san adds. Some themes are banned. Courtesans can't display excessive opulence. Actor prints avoid direct names and any likenesses of the shogun's kin. He draws a sharp line across his neck. You'd heard fragments of this, but from Hayashi-san, it hits harder. Exercise caution, he advises. Takamura-san proceeds with care. That's wise. Keep it so. You offer a profound bow. I shall. My gratitude. Hayashi-san. He resumes his carving as though your presence has faded. You secure the 6 blocks in the furoshiki cloth you carried, ensuring they're well shielded. The package weighs around 15 pounds of sculpted cherry, but it's bearable. Beyond the workshop, morning advances to midday. Asakusa's lanes grow busier. Devotees stream toward Sensoji. Hawkers peddle treats like dango skewers to sacred charms. A band of ronin, samurai without lords, loiters at an intersection, exuding equal parts threat and tedium. You must return to Nihonbashi, yet time allows a detour. Takamura-san urged no lingering, but set no rigid deadline. And you're mere 200 yards from Sensoji Temple, Edo's ancient sanctuary, which you've yet to explore fully. The pull proves irresistible. 2 years in Edo, and Sensoji's interior remains unseen. You resolve. A brief stop, 10 minutes at most, to claim the experience. Shifting the block bundle on your back, you proceed to the Kaminarimon Gate. It looms ahead, portal to a realm apart. Towering red lacquered pillars uphold a 2-level edifice with a graceful tiled roof, and at its heart, ropes suspend the massive lantern. The Kaminarimon lantern, immense at perhaps 12 feet high and 6 wide, bears red and black hues accented in gold, its inscription naming the gateway. A prosperous trader gifted it long ago. You've witnessed a grand show of both faith and fortune. In Edo, even spirituality turns into spectacle. As you pass under the gate, the change hits right away. The bustle from the streets quiets a bit. The vibe alters. Folks here proceed more deliberately, at a measured pace. This spot holds sanctity, though it's laced with commerce, too. The path to the temple brims with vendors along Nakamaise-dori, that bustling arcade running from the Kaminarimon all the way to the central shrine structures, some 700 feet of roofed path, flanked by booths hawking whatever a devotee could require, desire, or get talked into buying. Oh, mammary charms for safeguarding. They're tailored to specifics. Safe journeys, robust health, thriving enterprises, romantic triumphs, safeguards against flames, against robbers, against malevolent ghosts. The sellers hawk their goods, vying for eyes, sanctified by the chief monk personally. Authentic canon wards, fresh pattern for the year of the boar. You stroll at an easy gait, soaking it all up. Stacks of incense rods, omikuji slips knotted to frames, scores of them dancing on the wind, like tangible pleas to the divine. Snack stands with ningyo-yaki treats, tiny figurine pastries stuffed with azuki paste. The aroma assaults you, sweetness from sugar and beans blending with sizzling fat and drifting incense haze. A hawker hails you. Lad, care for some safeguarding on your travels? You decline with a grin, press on. You're toting 15 precious carving blocks plus Takamura-san's remaining silver. A talisman might help, sure, but no time for sidetracks. Where Nakamaise-dori ends, the temple grounds sprawl out, revealing Sensoji itself. The structures post-date the original grounds. The 1657 blaze raised it all, yet they rebuilt in timeless fashion. The Hondo, the primary worship hall, looms enormous. Rising 2 levels, its eaves curve upward like those in ancient Chinese designs. The timber gleams deep and worn, burnished by ages of ritual fumes and supplications. Hayashi mentioned the cornerstone dates to 628. That's over 1,100 years back, more than 1,000 of unbroken reverence right here. You head to the Temizuya, the stone trough brimming with fresh water, ladles of bamboo laid along the rim. You ease your package down with care. Scoop a dipper, cleanse your left palm first, then the right. Swill some in your mouth. No gulping, just spit it out through the stone drain, cleansing right to ready yourself for the holy. The Hondo waits ahead. You ascend the granite stairs, merge with the throng of worshippers at the entrance. A hefty bell pull dangles overhead, as thick as your wrist, smoothed by countless grips over time. Your moment arrives. You advance, incline twice, strike your hands twice, tug the cord to chime the bell, and summon the kami's notice. Drop a couple of mon coins into the donation slot. 2 or 3 won't strain you. Chime again. Voice your wish. What crosses your mind? Security on the road, triumph in your aims, insight to grasp Takamura-san's lessons, fortitude to endure this relentless metropolis. You withdraw, letting the next ones advance. The rhythm persists. Off to one side, the 5-tiered pagoda climbs skyward. Floors diminishing upward, the tower narrows to a spire crowned by 9 stacked rings, evoking the Buddhist realms. Its build yields cleverly in quakes. The interlocking wood permits sway without collapse. Ingenious craft masked in devotional form. You pause briefly. Let the vastness, the antiquity, the enduring flow sink in. Back home in Shinano, your local shrine measured perhaps 30 feet across. A single humble edifice tended by a cleric who doubled as a rice grower. This, vastly different, organized faith intertwined with governance. Buddhism wielding authority, riches, sway, yet laced with true belief. You spot it in the devotees nearby, elderly ladies beseeching vigor, newlyweds seeking offspring, traders invoking prosperous deals, rural tillers, awestruck and daunted, imploring bountiful yields. Piety and trade, divine and worldly, all coexist in Edo. A monk draws near, youthful, tonsured, draped in plain garments. Alms for the temple's upkeep, always upkeep, perpetual fixes, additions. Edo's shrines never stop evolving, enlarging, refining, part sincere zeal, part rivalry, each vying to eclipse the rest. Underscore, quote underscore 22, underscore you reply. Quote 23. He dips his head, shifts to another visitor. No reproach, merely pragmatism. Time to leave. Takamura-san awaits. Those blocks must return to Nyanbashi. But as you hoist your load, commotion stirs by the temple's eastern flank. A cluster forms, murmurs swelling with thrill. Intrigued, you wander closer. A tail spinner at work, one of those pro-goes performers who ply temple yards and crowded intersections, peddling tales for coin. He's rigged a basic stage, a mere crate for elevation. Around 30 folks have clustered nearby. The storyteller's voice booms out, declaring how the devoted samurai drew near his master's tomb under the cover of night. The moon hid its face, a chill wind howled through the darkness, and suddenly, from the gloom emerged the spirit of, you turn away before the tale unfolds further. You've caught versions of this yarn countless times before, the saga of the 47 Ronin, their fierce quest for vengeance, the noble payback that culminated in ritual death. It's the emblematic legend of these times. It unfolded merely 4 decades past, and every soul in Edo has it etched in memory. Yet the performer shines in his craft. His pauses land just right. He shifts his tone seamlessly for each role. The audience hangs on every word. This is the pulse of culture in 1743 Edo. Not via printed pages. Literacy eludes most. Not via news sheets. Those remain a fledgling notion at best. Instead, it flows through narrators like him, through vibrant kabuki stages, through the endless chain of spoken lore, updates, and chatter, passing lip to listener, corner to corner. You sling your load higher and turn toward the waterway. The journey home ought to be simple enough. Locate a crossing boat, traverse the Sumida, then trek southward into Nihonbashi. Yet nearing the dock, an odd sight halts you. The water teems with vessels beyond the norm, and these aren't mere fishercraft or trade haulers. They're entertainment barges, yakitabun, spacious, shallow draft boats with covered awnings tailored for riverside revels. On their platforms, you spot figures in fine attire, gentlemen in lavish robes, ladies in ornate garb, attendants darting about with trays and provisions. What's the occasion? You query a fellow idling close by. He eyes you as if you're daft. The waterway's grand unveiling, naturally. The Ryogoku Festival. Tonight, no less. Ah, right. You'd let it slip your mind. The Ryogoku Kawara, that annual summer rite honoring the departed from the Mariki blaze and expressing gratitude for the Sumida's gifts. Among Edo's premier festivities, which spells chaos and steep fees for the ferry ride ahead, you edge toward the wharf. The operators are quick to exploit, hawking jacked-up fares. 6 mon for the passage at event pricing, 8 mon for priority docking at Nihonbashi, 10 mon to secure a spot outright. 10's outright theft. The standard toll's just 4, but eyeing the throng amassing, hundreds eager to beat the festivities across the flow, you sense options dwindling. You sidle up to an oarsman quoting a mere 6 men. I must reach Nihonbashi. Is 6 your rock bottom? He sizes you up, notes the precious load, gauges your youth and likely urgency. Make it 8. The parcel's bulky, crowding others. You could haggle, stress how the pack rides your shoulders, not claiming a bench. But Takamura-san's already due your return, and the masses swell relentlessly. 7 mon you offer. I'll perch up front, cradle the bundle myself. He ponders, then agrees. Settled. Departure in 5. You fork over 7 hard-earned mon from your meager savings. Takamura-san's funds all went to Hayashi's carvings. And step aboard. This voyage starkly contrasts the dawn's ease. The craft's crammed. 12 aboard where 8 would fit comfy. All jammed on seats meant for less. The wood blocks press into your legs. Your neighbor reeks of brine and sake. The lady opposite shoots daggers at your cargo, as if it slights her outright. Still, the skipper's adept, threading the jam-packed stream with expert poise, swerving past party boats and freighters, gauging the tides, tweaking his path on the fly. Midway over, trouble brews. A hefty yakadabun veers in too sharp. Its swell slams the ferry sideways. The hull lurches wildly. A cry pierces the air. Your load teeters on your knees. You clutch it fiercely with both arms, desperate to keep 15 pounds of priceless cherry engravings from plunging into the Sumida. The vessel rights itself. The rower mutters oaths. The gaudy barge sails on, heedless or heartless. Strains of melody and merriment waft from its top. Quote, 24. Your fishy-scented seatmate grumbles. Quote, 25. The woman facing you has blanched, her fingers vise-like on the plank, nails drained of color. You stay silent, just gripping the blocks and hoping for smoother waters ahead. It's marginal, but you reach the far shore unscathed. Legs unsteady, you disembark, pack firm astride, and set off for Nihonbashi on foot. The midday glare beats down mercilessly. 8th month by the lunar reckoning, deep into summer, and the swelter clings like a shroud, the sort that warps the haze, soaks your spine in cascades, turns each inhale to vapor. Nihonbashi's lanes buzz undeterred by the blaze. Trade grinds on, rain or shine be damned. You weave through the well-known paths, sidestepping wagons, foot traffic, and the stray warrior now and then. You're only a few blocks from Takamura's place when raised voices reach your ears from up ahead. Heated yells, the sort that signal real danger. Folks are already clustering around. In Edo, nothing draws a crowd like drama, and a brawl in the open is top-notch diversion. Better to press on, stay out of it. Deliver those carving blocks to Takamura-san without delay. Yet that itch to know what's going on draws you closer, if only for a quick glance. Wedging past the onlookers proves tricky with your load strapped on, but you manage to catch sight of the unfolding drama. Two figures squared off in the roadway. One's obviously a trader, attired neatly, of middling years, drenched in perspiration. The other's a warrior, youthful, perhaps in his mid-20s, armed with the paired blades denoting his station. His fingers grip the handle of his long sword. Trouble's brewing, serious trouble. Quote, 26, the warrior demands. His tone is icy, restrained, more chilling than any outburst. Quote, 27, the trader starts. Quote, 28, quote, 29. The trader mutters, then goes quiet. The gathering hushes too. All sense the grim turn about to come. The warrior holds the law's right to strike down this fellow on the spot if his dignity feels slighted. And, judging by the warrior's glare, that's precisely his plan. The blade starts easing from its sheath. That sharp rasp of metal against lacquer cuts through the hush like a bell. You ought to avert your eyes. This doesn't concern you. You're powerless here. Just a lowly worker, a novice in the trades, barely a speck in the social order. Still, your gaze stays locked. No one's turning away. Such is existence in Edo, unchecked might in the hands of a fighting elite, free to snuff out lives at will, answerable to none. The trader drops to his knees, brow to the dirt, stammering pleas for mercy. But words like that don't always save you. They can backfire, coming off as hollow. The weapon's out now, gleaming under the midday sun like bottled fire. The warrior lifts it high. The trader clamps his lids tight. Then a new voice slices the air. Quote, 30. An elder warrior emerges from the throng, around 50 by his look. His garb hints at elevated status. His posture commands respect. He nears the armed youth with the bared steel, grinning as if they've bumped into each other at a refined gathering, not an impending slaying. Not seen you since the spring bow meet. How fares your sire, still leading the watch at Kane Shrine? The younger one, Kawaguchi, dips his sword a touch, thrown off kilter. Ah, yes, he's in good health. Appreciate the inquiry. Splendid. Your lineage has brought such honor. I remarked to the official just recently on your grandsire's feats in the Osaka affair. Extraordinary fellow. The senior warrior subtly draws Kawaguchi from the trader, chattering on. A gentle grasp on the youth's arm, nudging him along like redirecting a vessel's path. You should visit for some brew. I've come by Prime Gyokuro out of Uji. We might chat tactics. Your father said you're delving into Yagyu methods. And with that, the peril dissolves. Kawaguchi slides his blade home. The trader hauls himself up and vanishes into the press before second thoughts can stir. The elder keeps up his amiable banter, ushering Kawaguchi off onto a narrower lane. The spectators scatter. In moments, the street resumes its rhythm as if the episode never was. Except you witnessed it all. Everyone did. A soul teetering on the edge of oblivion. And one man, armed solely with conversation and poise, turned that fate toward talk of leaves and steam. That's how you endure in Edo. Not merely dodging clashes, but grasping the right instant to step in. Commanding the rank to do so, adept at easing fury without seeming to defy it. You shoulder your pack anew and resume your trek. Your grip trembles a bit. Hard to say if it's lingering fright, the rush of the moment, or simply the strain of hauling these slabs for the last couple hours. A trio of blocks on, you arrive at Takamura's workshop. He's tending a buyer as you enter, so you ease into the rear space, lower the bundle with a flood of gratitude, and bide your time till he's free. The patron's a woman in her 20s, clad tastefully, yet simply. She's scrutinizing a print from the scenic collection Takamura-san labored over earlier. Quote 35, she notes. Quote 36, Takamura-san inclines his head. Quote 37, the deal wraps up. She departs, her acquisition bundled securely in cloth. Takamura-san faces you. Quote 38, quote 39. He dismisses it with a gesture. Quote 40, quote 41. You undo the wrapping, arrange the half-dozen pieces across the bench. Takamura-san inspects every block with precision, tracing his fingers across the engraved surfaces, lifting them toward the light, and studying the patterns in the wood. Hayashi's craftsmanship remains impeccable. He mutters softly, "These are exquisite." Then his gaze shifts to you, truly taking you in. Something happened to you out there today. It's a statement, not a query. He can sense it in your expression. Quote 43, you reply. Quote 44, he nods thoughtfully. Quote 45, the inquiry catches you off guard. You'd figured he'd brush it aside, urge you to put it out of your mind, and dive back into the tasks at hand. Quote 46, you hesitate, searching for the right words. Quote 47, quote 48, Takamura-san responds. Quote 49, he returns his attention to the blocks. Quote 50, his eyesight is giving out. For 3 decades, he's been Nihon Bashi's finest engraver. But all things must conclude. Takamura-san falls silent briefly. Quote 51, he passes you one of the pouches, the payment for Hayashi. Quote 52, you offer a bow and move to the rear area. Jiro's already at work on rice and miso soup. How'd it go in Asakusa? Packed tight. Festival kicks off tonight. Up for joining after we eat? He flashes a smile. Fireworks should be spectacular this year. You ought to refuse. Exhaustion weighs on you. Your shoulders throb from hauling the blocks. Your feet pulse with soreness from the long trek. Yet at 19, after 2 years in Edo without witnessing the Ryogoku Festival's display, you find yourself agreeing. Quote 56, the meal flies by. Miso soup laced with tofu, pickled veggies, and a modest grilled fish portion that Oto-san snagged cheaply at the morning market. You kneel at the low table, chopsticks darting from dishes to lips on autopilot as thoughts drift. Takamura-san's more subdued than normal this evening. When Oto-san inquires about the blocks, he praises Hayashi's skill with sincere respect. A hint of sadness colors his tone as he mentions the old man's farewell to courtesan prince, an age drawing to a close, skill yielding gradually to the march of years. Post-meal, the standard chores unfold, wiping down the workshop, brushing the tatami mats, sorting paper piles, inspecting ink slabs. Takamura-san and Oto-san withdraw to their quarters. You and Jiro wrap up the final touches. All set? Jiro questions, slipping into a thinner summer yukata. 1 sec. You switch to your finer kimono, the one hiding most men's. Splash your face with water, comb wet fingers through your locks. Not that it'll count for much. It's fireworks, not a courtesan gathering, but habits die hard. You both ease out into Nihon Bashi's night paths. The city shifts under dusk, cooler for sure. The fierce daylight gone, replaced by a violet-hued gloom that gentles the timber structure's edges. Lanterns flicker to life on the broad avenues, paper ones harboring candles, spilling golden glows that fend off shadows in modest pools. The throng surges eastward, all bound for the Sumida River, for Ryogoku, for the festivities. You merge into the stream, swept forward by the human tide. United in aim, to behold the bursts of light, honor the waterway, and for a single night, set aside the relentless toil of scraping by in this unforgiving metropolis. The stroll lasts around half an hour. You and Jiro chat now and then, but largely you just press on, weaving through the press, observing the folks nearby. Families hoisting toddlers on dads' backs, clusters of lads your age, fellow apprentices no doubt, joking and jostling. Ladies in prime summer attire, airy weaves and vivid hues, swapping out the muted daily garb, plus scattered geisha. Their ornate coifs, powdered faces, and flawless bearing give them away, guided by patrons to choice spots. The Sumida appears ahead, utterly reborn. The shores brim with spectators, thousands upon thousands, no spot left empty. Folks sprawl on turf, line the rocky banks, jam the spans, cram into hired barges dotting the water like adrift atolls. The Akatabun from earlier bob prominently, grand canopied vessels moored centrally, brimming with affluent traders and company, attendants weaving through with trays of eats and sake. Musicians strumming shamisen and koto tunes turn those vessels into drifting celebrations set to endure until dawn. Vendors hawk their wares without pause amid the throng. Sizzling yakitori skewers of grilled chicken, steaming taiyaki pastries, warm taiyaki alongside chilled sake. Festival fans flutter to fend off the heat. The aromas assault the senses. Charred meats and fish wafting from grills, sugary dango sweets, fragrant wisps from handheld shrines, the sharp tang of sweat from the dense press of bodies, the murky river scent mingled with wisps of cooking smoke. Over this way, Jiro tugs at your sleeve, guiding you to a patch along the riverbank. The vantage isn't prime, but it's decent enough. From here, the water stretches plain before you, the boats bobbing distinct, and overhead, the heavens where the fireworks will burst. You ease down onto the surrounding turf. Others follow suit nearby, unfurling mats, unpacking homemade provisions, sharing flasks of sake, while kids dart wildly through the clusters, their voices piercing the buzz with glee. The vibe crackles with tension. All eyes fixed on the impending spectacle, everyone poised for that one moment. When does it kick off? You wonder aloud. Any second now. Keep your gaze on the river. You do. The final traces of day slip away. The heavens shift from violet hues to deep blue, then inky void. A handful of stars emerge, though the urban glow dims most, letting only the boldest ones pierce through. And there it is, a modest craft edging toward the river's heart, empty of riders, just a team of shadowed figures hustling to stack gear on its deck. That's the launch vessel Jiro indicates. Soon, a second joins, followed by a third, 3 in all, positioned at intervals spanning the waterway. The onlookers' hum swells, anticipation mounting, until, bam! A lone rocket streaks upward. A slender trail of flame ascends relentlessly, shedding embers in its wake. It peaks around 300 feet and bursts. The thump resonates deep in your ribs as much as your ears. And the brilliance, utterly mesmerizing. A fiery chrysanthemum unfurls overhead, crimson and amber petals radiating wide. The embers cascade in elegant curves, each etching a fleeting streak against the night before, vanishing. The masses bellow their delight. Then the true display ignites. Rockets fire in quick bursts, not singly, but clusters of 3, 5, even 10 at once. They soar to varying altitudes, each detonating in unique forms, blooming chrysanthemums, weeping willows, plump peonies, swaying palms, perfect circles, cascading fountains, hues you'd swear fire couldn't produce, vivid blues, emeralds, violets, blend with the classic scarlets and yellows. The blasts illuminate the firmament, reshaping the gloom. Every rupture chases with a resonant thud, the noise rippling over the waves, rebounding from the structures, layering into a symphony of rumbles. The audience whoops at each one. Little ones jab fingers skyward, yelling. Grown-ups stare wide-eyed like kids. You too, 2 years deep in Edo's chaos, witness to wonders beyond your wildest dreams, find yourself awestruck by the sheer magnitude. This screams opulence, sheer indulgence, pure magnificence. A single piece likely outprices your entire monthly wage, and they're unleashing hundreds, perhaps thousands, in a single evening. All to honor the departed, toast the present, and affirm that Edo endures, vibrant amid its blazes, tremors, and pestilences. In the pauses between grand blasts, lesser pyrotechnics bridge the voids, whirling discs affixed to craft, hurling sparks in swirling rings, geysers hurling tinted flames upward, land-based setups etching kanji in ignited dust. Peace and prosperity glow in pyre script, then dissolve. The spectacle stretches endlessly. 15, 20, 30 minutes of relentless volleys, each surpassing the prior. Until the climax, all launch craft unleash together. Scores of rockets surge in unison. The air chokes with conflagration. Detonations collide, pigments swirling. The din becomes unbroken roar. So deafening, the throng's noise vanishes. Nothing registers but the fury of harnessed blasts. The crescendo endures perhaps 2 minutes, a torrent of total immersion before silence claims it. The final flares dim. Haze lingers. Night reclaims the void. Though your vision swims, stars blurred in the afterglow. The gathering explodes in jubilation. Cheers, claps, cries, revelry. You remain seated, dazed. Nothing like this has ever crossed your path. You couldn't have conceived it. So, what did you make of it? Jiro probes, beaming. That was... Words evade you. Beyond words. Totally justified the trek. For sure. All around, folks begin gathering their things. The display's done, yet the revelry persists. The ornate barges will carouse till sunrise. Hawkers will peddle till first light. The town will feast till weariness drives it to bed, but exhaustion weighs on you. The days dragged on. The stroll to Nihonbashi spans 30 minutes, and dawn brings the usual grind. Time to head out, you suggest. Jiro agrees. Right, before the jam thickens. The return path drags compared to the outbound jaunt. The crowd surges out together, squeezing into the tight alleys like a single living thing. You drift along with them, unhurried, allowing the throng to guide your steps. A temple comes into view, its monks handing out sacred water to the revelers. Nearby, a shrine draws crowds purchasing talismans for luck. Clusters of inebriated men stumble by, belting out tuneless ballads. Women chat animatedly in clusters, their vibrant yukata glowing under the soft lanterns. This captures Edo in its purest form, not the brutality, the strict social order, or the ever-present risk of calamity, but this shared festivity. A million souls sharing a single burst of delight. Finally, you arrive at Nihonbashi. With the night stretching toward midnight, the storefronts stand closed. The lanes grow hushed. Most folks linger at the event or the pleasure quarters. You and Jiro ease through the rear door of Takamura's place, careful not to rouse the master or his spouse in the rear quarters. Your bedding lies ready. You drop onto it, skipping the night clothes altogether. Exhaustion and the day's overload leave no room for more. Jiro's snores already echo from his spot opposite. In the dim room, you gaze at the weak glow from the outer street lamp seeping past the shoji screens. Today brought a haul of precious carving blocks over the Sumida, a stop at Sennoji Temple, a brush with a public beheading, and fireworks extravagance beyond a lifetime's wages, all vanishing in a spectacular blaze. Tomorrow means tackling Hayashi's last courtesan designs, more lessons in inks, sheets, and press force. Your gradual mastery of the craft inches forward, promising steadiness if talent and fortune align. Yet tonight, the heavens ignited. That alone holds value. Your lids droop. The urban hum recedes. Slumber takes hold. Tomorrow looms eternal, but for now, repose. Dawn breaks abruptly. Temple chimes drag you from dreams at the hour of the hare. Routine as ever. Fog clouds your thoughts. Limbs weigh like lead. The spectacle justified the vigil, yet your frame exacts its toll for the hour. Jiro's up first, rinsing his face at the washbowl, seeming unduly revived despite matching your late return. Solid festival, you mutter. His smile broadens. Beyond solid. The daily drill unfolds swiftly. Cleansing, donning clothes. A simple meal of rice and miso. Your motions run on instinct as consciousness lags, still sifting the onslaught of yesterday's impressions. Takamura-san awaits in the work area below the stairs, scrutinizing Hayashi's carvings like ancient scrolls under a sage's eye. We launched the courtesan run today, he declares to Saburo. Handle the paper prep. Jiro, blend the pigments. Aim for initial pulls by noon. Understood, Takamura-san. The labor kicks off. Settling into the well-worn cadence, wetting sheets, inspecting stock, readying tools, the prior day's vibrancy recedes, morphing into recollection tucked into the archive of moments shaping your Edo existence. Such is the pace of trade training. Routine days merge, labor, rest, labor anew. The steady grind that forges expertise bit by bit, unnoticed. Yet certain days pierce through. Certain ones resist fading. Post-festival, a subtle turn occurs. Nothing overt. Nothing pinpointable as the pivot. Still, a change settles. The metropolis shifts from enigma to be unraveled into a space of true habitation. A niche where you fit, however modestly. Weeks melt into months. Those months blending as they do in youth's grind, when toil consumes you and seasons alone mark time's flow. The print house cadence embeds itself in your core. Dawn setups, noon press runs, afternoon client dealings. Dusk tiding for the next shift. You spot reliable paper vendors from the cheats peddling subpar stock at top rates. You track color merchants with exotic imports, Prussian blue out of Europe, vermilion from China, versus those stuck with everyday dyes. The heft of a block registers instinctively in your grip. Premium paper's subtle grain feels right under touch, textured enough for ink adhesion, neither abrasive nor slick. The Baron's firm give against the wood, the even whisper of pestle on inkstone free of lumps. Takamura-san oversees you sparingly these days, delegates trickier duties your way. Just last month, he handed you the wrap-up prints for a 12-piece multicolored Vista set. 7 hues per sheet, 84 layers total, only 3 flubs. For a second-year learner, he'd call it passable. You're getting better, he noted. No effusive words, merely fact. Coming from Takamura-san, that's higher praise than any outright flattery. As the seasons shift, fall offers a welcome escape from the oppressive summer swelter. The breeze turns crisp, the dampness fades, and the streets of the city feel livable once more. Afternoons at the workshop pass without that suffocating sense of being poached in your own sweat. The fall celebrations roll in, more modest than the grand summer launch on the river, yet still noteworthy. There's the moon-gazing event, where folks assemble to savor the round orb and craft verses in its honor. Poetry isn't your strength. You struggle to string together a simple thought, but the moon's glow moves you all the same. That has to mean something. Then winter hits with a chill that turns any leftover water in the shop solid by dawn. Each morning, you crack the skim of ice in the rinse bowl. Your hands ache and stiffen while managing the sheets of paper. Takamura tends a modest hibachi near the press, stoking it with coal all day long to ensure the area stays thawed, just enough for the pigments to spread smoothly. Yet winter gifts sharp, cloudless days too. On the frostiest dawns, as you scale the rooftop to air out linens or inspect for wear, Mount Fuji appears sharp on the distant skyline to the west. Its pristine, icy summit towers over the landscape, 70 miles off, yet seeming near enough to reach out and graze. Every ukiyo-e house in Edo churns out Fuji images. It's all but required. 36 perspectives, 46, 50. The peak captured from all sides through every weather and range. The globe's most depicted, reproduced, and revered mountain. And during those pristine winter starts, its allure makes perfect sense. An ethereal beauty, a flawless silhouette of snow against azure heavens, divine and timeless, home to deities themselves. Spring unfolds slowly. Plum blooms emerge in the second month, followed by cherry flowers in the third, sending the whole metropolis into a frenzy. Hanami, the blossom outings. For about 2 weeks, Edo turns into one massive revelry. Crowds flock to admire the sakura in gardens, shrine areas along the waterways. Any spot with the trees becomes a carnival. Folks lay out cloths beneath the branches, sip rice wine, savor seasonal treats, and revel in the fleeting splendor at its height. But the petals endure scarcely a week, perhaps a pair, before drifting down. Gusts whirl them like flurries, and life resumes its routine. With the echo of that transient wonder lingering in memory, present one instant, vanished the next. Jiro wraps up his training that spring. 7 years served, his obligation fulfilled. Now a skilled traveler in the craft. He can earn pay, hop between studios. Liberties you'll lack for 5 more years. He lands a spot at a bigger operation in Kanda, focused on portraits of kabuki performers for the stages. Higher wages, stronger opportunities, finer projects. Drop by sometime, he urges on his final shift. Kanda's a far cry from Nihonbashi, more untamed, more creative. Suits you. You incline your head. I shall. Best wishes, Jiro-san. His smile flashes. Don't let Takamura-san grind you into dust. And with that, he's off. Your new bunkmate in the rear quarters is a lad from Kai province called Kenta. Just 15, rawer than you were upon arrival. He eyes Edu as if it could swallow him whole. It just might. Quote 64, you assure him one evening as he tosses sleepless in the shadows, nerves frayed. Quote 65, doubt hangs in his quiet, but time will prove it if he endures. Summer creeps back in. The blaze, the reek. The Riverside Bash anew. You and Kenta head out for the fireworks display. His debut. You recall your own initial awe. Was it merely a year past? Spotting it mirrored in his wide-eyed stare. The wheel turns onward. Your second complete year in the capital draws to a close. Takamura-san notes it with a modest present. A batch of fine brushes. Top-grade weasel hair tips. The sort pros rely on. They outvalue your every possession. Quote 66, he notes. Quote 67, a path. You ponder the word. 5 additional years indentured, then stretches as a wandering artisan, scraping coins, forging a name, absorbing the full trade. Someday, if talent holds, fortune favors, and endurance prevails, perhaps your own studio, your placard out front, your own novice bunked in the back, passing on the skills as Takamura did for you. It feels worlds away, but Edo itself seemed a distant fantasy back in Shinano boyhood, lost in city reveries. Lately, details catch your eye that once slipped by. How Takamura-san sets up the storefront to capture the dawn glow. How he places pricier works at gaze height, cheaper ones below, prompting inquiries. How he hails steady patrons by name, recalls their tastes, inquires after kin, leaving them cherished. It's more than merely peddling prints. It's about forging connections, nurturing faithfulness, and ensuring folks keep returning. You're picking up on that yourself. Just last week, a samurai stopped by in search of a present for his spouse, elegant and timeless, nothing overly flashy. He confessed his allowance was limited, his cheeks flushing with unease. You might have steered him toward pricier pieces for a bigger payout, but instead, you presented a straightforward vista, Mount Fuji at dawn, monochrome yet brilliantly arranged and affordably tagged. Quote 68, he remarked, scrutinizing it closely. Quote 69, you let it go for precisely what Takamura-san had set. No upcharge, no pushing. He offered a profound bow on his way out. Quote 70, Takamura-san observed the exchange from start to finish. He stayed silent at the time, but afterward he gave you a subtle dip of the head from across the print shop. A minor gesture, you're getting the hang of it. 3 weeks past your second year in Edo, amid the sweltering heat of the 7th month, Takamura-san shares some news. The shop shuts down tomorrow for Sanja Matsuri setup. You ought to experience the Sanja Matsuri, that famed festival of the 3 shrines at Sensoji Temple, one of Edo's grandest occasions. You've caught wind of it before, who hasn't? But you've yet to witness it firsthand. What goes on there? Jiro inquires, eyes wide with curiosity. Takamura-san offers a faint grin. You'll witness it all. Come morning, you and Jiro blend into the throngs making their way to Asakusa. And by throngs, picture the sheer magnitude of a premier temple bash in Edo. Not mere hundreds, nor even thousands. This swells to tens of thousands, possibly 100,000 strong, all funneling toward the Sensoji temple grounds for 3 days of revelry, rites, uproar, and scarcely restrained frenzy. The trek to Asakusa drags on twice the normal time, streets jammed solid as entire quarters migrate en masse. You spot clusters in uniform happy coats emblazoned with local emblems. You pass performers hauling taiko drums and flutes. You see kids decked in festive garb darting past their folks, squealing in delight. The atmosphere carries scents of street eats, yakitori, takoyaki, sweetened fruits, charred squid. Hawkers crowd every corner, hawking their goods with loud cries. Upon arriving in Asakusa, the spectacle hits full force. The Sensoji temple grounds have morphed entirely. Open spaces brim with makeshift booths, performance dais, music stands, and altars for lesser divinities. Countless paper lanterns dangle from poles and eaves, poised to glow at dusk. Dominating the scene stand 3 enormous Mikoshi portable shrines. Each towers around 6 feet, adorned in gilded finery and intricate reliefs, crowned by phoenix figures. These Mikoshi shelter the essences of Sensoji's 3 legendary founders from over a millennium back. In the festival's throes, their spirits are borne along the avenues to behold their metropolis, its inhabitants, its enduring mark. Yet these Mikoshi demand real muscle. Each tips the scales at about a ton. It requires scores of bearers to shoulder them, and they're mustering now, visible in the temple yards, bands of porters clad in fundoshi loincloths and happy coats, skins etched with age-old tattoos. A few are already sipping sake, though it's scarcely noon. These are the chonekai, the ward groups from Edo's varied quarters. Every crew prides itself on their unique gait, their endurance, their flair for jiggling the Mikoshi into lively sways during the march. It crackles with rivalry, raw, virile, on the edge of eruption. Quote 73, you warn Jiro. Quote 74, you can't fathom the half of it. The kickoff rite unfolds near midday. Shinto clerics in pristine robes conduct cleansing ceremonies. Holy sake gets presented to the kami. Incantations rise, and taiko drums pound a measured beat. The assembly observes in hushed reverence. Then comes the cue. The lead Mikoshi lifts skyward. Scores of men slot beneath its poles, seize hold with weathered palms, and with a unified bellow, "Washoi! Washoi!" elevate the colossal relic to their backs. The Mikoshi ascends, teeters, steadies, and surges forward. The carriers don't simply transport it, they infuse it with vigor. They jostle it, rattle it, lean it perilously while onlookers roar approval. The goal? To stir thrill in the kami within, pulsing with vitality and spirit. A dull trek would dishonor the divine, so they amp it up to pulse-pounding heights. The Mikoshi threads through the temple expanse toward the primary entrance. Spectators yield before it, then surge after, trailing in its wake. You and Jiro get pulled into the surging masses, spilling out the Kaminarimon gate into Asakusa's lanes. The parade defies words. The portable shrine jostles and rocks atop the shoulders of 50 strong men, their voices booming in synchronized cries of "Washoi! Washoi!" A troupe of musicians trails close, pounding drums and piping flutes to build an impenetrable barrier of noise. Dancers clad in vibrant traditional garb leap and twirl beside kids darting through the legs of grown-ups. Hawkers weave through the throng, hawking trinkets like sacred charms and skewers of charred corn. And the onlookers, thousands upon thousands, pack the sidewalks, spill onto verandas, and scramble up rooftops, all hollering, applauding, and hurling coins and blossoms toward the Mikoshi as it advances. The clamor engulfs everything. The carrier's yells, the rhythmic beats, the masses' uproar, the instrumental frenzy, all merging into a thunderous wave of festivity that rattles the structures around you. You're jammed shoulder to shoulder with unfamiliar faces, borne forward by the surge, directionless in the chaos. Kenta's lost somewhere in the rear. You silently wish the mob has swallowed him up. At a crossroads, the Mikoshi halts. The porters ease it down with precision for a rest. They swig sake from shared wooden bowls. A few already wobble from fatigue and booze. It's only been an hour. Rival crews glare across the way, the air thick with rivalry. Each district vies to outlast and outshine, hauling their shrine the greatest distance with unmatched vigor. Skirmishes erupt, taunts turn to pushes. A fist flies. The spectators bellow in delight. Such brawls are festival fixtures, anticipated and even welcomed. Officials might intervene if things escalate, but mild scraps purge the pent-up tensions of the year like a vital outlet for bottled fury. You edge clear of the scuffles, seeking elbow room. The press of bodies feels like wading through a sea of people. No escape from the flesh, no gap for air. Suddenly, a grip clamps your sleeve. You whirl, fists clenched. It's Kenta, cheeks red, gaze bulging with a mix of fear and thrill. "This is madness," he yells above the din. "This is Edo." You fire back. The Mikoshi rises once more. The march resumes. You and Kenta trail in its wake, the human current dragging you down unfamiliar lanes into unknown quarters. The route stretches miles, snaking across key areas east of the Sumida River. The carriers swap turns. Hauling a ton of gilded timber for hours would fell even the hardiest. Relieved teams drop out. New ones surge in. The Mikoshi presses on without pause. Grub stands dot the path. You snatch some yakitori from a cellar, munching as you go. The sizzling chicken, savory and steaming, hits just right. Kenta treats himself to shaved ice drizzled in sugary nectar, an extravagance fitting for the occasion. The day drags into evening. The sun hammers down without mercy. The Mikoshi's team soaks through with perspiration. A few topple and get hauled aside. Sake keeps circulating. The frenzy holds steady, wild and unrelenting. You weave past homes where folks have improvised altars at thresholds, laden with tributes to the kami, grains, liquor, produce, blooms. The whole populace joins in, fueling the metropolis's shared supplication. And for what do they beseech? Safeguard from harm, abundance, shielding against blaze, tremor, pestilence, the calamities that have ravaged Edo before, and surely will again. But not this day. Today pulses with joy. As dusk falls, lanterns flicker to life by the thousands. Delicate paper ones dangle from eaves, branches, and festival scaffolds. The avenues shimmer in soft amber glows. The Mikoshi's journey peaks at a bustling crossroads by Ryogoku Bridge. All three shrines converge simultaneously as tradition demands. The squads square off, each urging their Mikoshi into frenzied gyrations wilder than the rest. It's fierce, it's bold, it's awe-inspiring. The audience's cheers drown out thought itself. Drums throb deep in your chest. Scents of smoldering incense, spilled sake, human exertion, and street eats blend into a heady brew. This is Edo Unleashed. Not the measured trade of Nihon Bashi, nor the steady focus of the print shop, but pure bursting vitality. A million souls crammed tight, unleashing it all in one go. You stand amid the whirl, one with the throng, one with the urban sprawl, one with a force dwarfing your own existence. And as the Mikoshi at last circle back to the temple after endless hours of revelry, as the porters slump in weary victory, as the gathering starts to scatter, it hits you. A swell of pride. You're woven into this place now. 2 years endured, a craft mastered, the wheel of seasons, rites, and dodged crises all observed. You've etched a small niche in this wild, wondrous, daunting world. You imagine that life could be yours one day as you watch a seasoned printmaster stride by with his family, honored and settled, woven right into the heart of Edo. It might truly become your reality. The morning after the festival, Takamura-san surprises you with a new task. Quote 79, he instructs. Quote 80. Fukagawa lies to the east, beyond the Sumida River, farther out than Asakusa, marking the fringes of true Edo, where urban sprawl fades into paddies and hamlets. You've yet to venture there. Yes, Takamura-san. He passes over the neatly bundled scrolls along with a precise map to the client's home. Quote 82. He adds thoughtfully. Quote 83. You offer a deep bow and set off. The journey to Fukagawa lasts more than an hour on foot. A ferry carries you over the Sumida. Your knack for haggling fares now sharper than ever. As you weave through strange quarters, eyes glued to the map, the client turns out to be a former samurai, quietly retired in a humble dwelling by the fields. He inspects the scrolls with meticulous care, gives a satisfied nod, and settles the exact payment due. The exchange wraps up in just 10 minutes, leaving you at liberty, with the master's blessing, to wander. Locating the hill proves simple enough. It's no towering peak, perhaps 200 feet at most, but amid Edo's level expanse, any swell offers a vantage. The trail upward is neatly kept, a path for pilgrims, culminating at a little shrine on the crest. You ascend without haste, thighs aching from the day's exertions, yet determined to reach the summit. There sits the shrine, a simple edifice honoring a regional spirit. You offer brief homage, dropping a handful of mon into the donation box, bowing twice, clapping twice before pivoting to take in the vista. Edo unfurls beneath you, the whole metropolis in view. Elevated like this, its vastness hits home. The infinite lattice of roads and roofs reaching endlessly outward. The Sumida twists through the eastern wards, mirroring the midday sun. Far off, the bay bristles with vessels, and westward Mount Fuji stands crisp against the blue, its snow-capped summit piercing the ridges of the interior hills, 70 miles distant, yet strikingly vivid. The holy peak, the timeless one immortalized in countless woodblock images for its enduring allure. You pause, chest heaving from the effort, perspiration drying in the wind against your skin. Simply gazing down, from here, Edo seems structured, serene. The frenzy of the avenues, the jostling throngs, the destitution, the brawls, the endless grind vanishes from sight. All that's left is its form, its framework, the staggering feat of 1,000,000 souls coexisting in such crammed confines. The sprawl dominates every horizon but one, west to Fuji, south to the bay, north to Kai's highlands. Only east reveals the boundary, where fields and settlements yield to the vast alluvial sweep toward the ocean. This is Japan seen from on high, the Tokugawa realm's core, the shogun's seat, Earth's most populous hub. From Edo Bay, vessels depart laden with silks, pottery, and lacquerware. Others arrive freighted with rice, sake, and wares from Kyoto and Osaka. The mighty roads fan out from Nihonbashi like wheel spokes, linking the capital to the realm's remotest reaches. Everything converges here, courses right under your stance. You amount to so little in it all, an apprentice from Shinano, just 19, with scant grasp of the wider world. The warriors in their grand compounds wouldn't mark your absence. The traders at Nihonbashi's fish stalls would carry on seamlessly without you. In Edo's vast engine, you're scarcely more than a single rice kernel. Yet you're present, embedded. Each block you assist in printing, each paper you ready, each patron you serve, all threads in the weave that raised Sensoji and forged Japan's trade paths and forged this teeming marvel. Perhaps it carries weight. The sun dips toward Fuji's crest, gilding the ice in gold. Over the city, daylight warms from pale to honeyed, then to rich crimson. Shadows stretch out. Edo shifts into evening. Time to descend. Takamura-san awaits your return by dusk, but just for this instant, you perch atop your universe. 2 years back, you arrived in Edo empty-handed, save for optimism and a referral note. No connections, no insights. The place daunted you, petrified you, too immense to fathom. These days, though, you hold knowledge, the alleys to shun after dark. You've learned to spot the fine distinctions in status that distinguish a minor samurai from one of higher standing. You've witnessed the spectacle of 100,000 souls reveling at a temple celebration. You've heard the rhythmic clamor of Mikoshi bearers parading down the avenues. You've grown familiar with the foul odor of the Sumida River when it's at its lowest, the savory bite of freshly grilled yakitori during festive gatherings, and the resonant toll of temple bells, summoning you to rituals that remain just beyond your grasp. You're starting to feel like a true Edo native. The idea feels odd. Deep down, you still see yourself as that kid from Shinano. Yet memories of Shinano are slipping away. The hamlet of your childhood, the paddies where you toiled planting rice, the familiar countenances of lifelong neighbors, they're all turning into distant recollections now. Tales you whisper to yourself about your former self. The person you're evolving into is different, molded by this sprawling metropolis and its pulses, its clamor and scents, its insatiable drive for trade. Its splendor and savagery, its joyous events, and the relentless toil of everyday existence. You pivot from the panorama and descend the slope. Returning to Nihonbashi drags on longer than the outbound trek. The ferry teems with laborers bound for their dwellings. The roadways buzz with twilight congestion. When you finally arrive at Takamura-san's establishment, dusk has fallen and lanterns flicker to life. Takamura-san awaits you. Did you catch sight of it? The vista was breathtaking. He gives a knowing nod, grasping the words you struggle to express. Every young apprentice ought to behold Edo from on high at least once. It clarifies the greater whole you're contributing to. You offer a respectful bow and retreat to the rear chamber to ready the evening meal. On serene nights after the shop shuts and tasks are finished, you occasionally perch by the back window, observing as the avenue dims. The lamplighters patrol their routes, but their glow scarcely pierces the encroaching gloom. Candle flames sprout in panes along Toricho. Daytime noises dissolve into nocturnal whispers. Faint shamisen strains drift from an adjacent home. The night soil hauler's shouts echo. A dog-sharp yaps ring out nearby. Neighbors' voices hum softly. Orda-season brings the meal, the usual modest fare, steamed rice, miso broth, brined veggies, and whatever modest meat or fish Takamura-san could afford that week. Fish on occasion, tofu more regularly. She inquires about your day in her subdued manner, absorbing your replies, dispensing concise wisdom that proves surprisingly insightful. Customers aren't merely purchasing prints, she once advised. They're investing in the emotions you evoke. Make sure to keep that in mind. You do. Following dinner, a brief spell of leisure ensues, an hour or perhaps two, before weariness claims you. You might head to a sento, which you do now and then, if you've scrimped enough coin to warrant it. Communal baths serve as hubs for unwinding, chatting, and scrubbing off the day's dirt. Lately, though, you prefer remaining indoors, honing your brushwork on scrap sheets, perusing lone volumes under flickering candlelight. You're gradually mastering tougher kanji, reflecting on the day's events, scheming for what lies ahead. Edo doesn't truly slumber. Motion persists, figures astir, deals struck in dim corners, but calm descends. The frantic vigor of sunlight yields to a tamer rhythm, nearly serene. Your mind wanders to the folks you've encountered. Hayashi, the engraver, battling dimming vision, yet wielding 4 decades of expertise. Jiro, now hustling in Kanda, forging his path. The grizzled soldier at the Sensoji Bash, tipsy and jubilant, toasting deities he might doubt, but reveres regardless. The warrior who nearly slew a traitor amid the bustle, only to be steered away by a handful of tactful phrases, each navigating existence in this identical urban sprawl, each cog in the immense engine propelling Edo forward. You ponder the sights you've absorbed, the Sumida aglow with pleasure craft at the fireworks display, Mikoshi weaving wildly through crowds at Sanja Matsuri, the sweeping outlook from the Fukagawa Rise, the metropolis unfurled beneath like a living chart, the brush with street-side execution, the lurking menace of offhand brutality simmering under Edo's facade, the stark lesson that demise can strike from a flash of arrogance or ill-fated chance. This place encompasses it all, every sort of soul, every mode of living, every form of ending. It crushes some into oblivion while elevating others to unforeseen peaks. What separates the fates often boils down to fortune, ties, or mere opportune positioning. You've been fortunate thus far. A solid mentor, a fair role, your well-being preserved, your future promising enough. Few can claim as much. Come morning, more sheets await prepping, more pigments to blend, more impressions to produce. the ceaseless cadence of artistry sustaining the workshop. You'll rouse pre-dawn and labor past twilight, collapsing into sleep drained, identical to this day, to the last, to the chain of tomorrows ahead. Tonight, exhaustion weighs on you heavily. The rear chamber feels chilly, despite the summer warmth outside. Breezes slip through the shoji panels, chilling the air within. Jiro's already dozing on his mat, body tucked in tight, his breaths deep and even. He's starting to adapt, getting the hang of the daily grind. Give it half a year, and that wide-eyed fear will fade from his face. Each dawn, the bustle of the city seeps up from below, a wagon rumbling past on the road, laughter echoing from a neighboring home, the far-off shout of a watchman tolling the time. You tug the meager coverlet to your neck and gaze at the overhead rafters. It's odd, this version of yourself emerging, no longer the kid from Shinano, not fully an Edwat just yet, somewhere midway, still forming. Your mother might not even know you now, the local dialect slipping into your words, the confidence in weaving through throngs without a second thought, the skill to judge a page's worth at a glance, trace its origins shortly after, and price it instinctively. She'd swell with pride. Your father likely too. Even if he'd hold his tongue, they dispatched you with little more than dreams. And those dreams are bearing fruit so far. You're mastering a craft. You're carving out a life. You're enduring. In a metropolis that swallows countless souls, mere endurance counts for a lot. The flame in the wall sconce flickers out. Shadow envelops everything, gentle and total. Only a subtle shimmer of moonbeams filters through the screens, alongside the hush of Edo winding down for the evening. Your lids grow leaden. The labor of the day has finally overtaken you. Your back throbs from stirring pigments. Your hands bear dark smudges from the woodblocks. Your limbs protest from all the pacing. Your thoughts settle at last. The constant whirl of worries dissolves into a calm hush. You ponder the time to come, the trials beyond your sight, the chances that may or may not arise, the man you'll become by 25, 30, 50. Might you still dwell in Nihonbashi, overseeing your own workshop, or pursue a different route amid this urban labyrinth? Will life persist for you at all? Or has Edo already marked you for its toll, like so many others? Flames, tremors, disease, strife, death lurks in endless forms. No one can foresee it. The tomorrow lies as veiled as this chamber's gloom, as elusive as the heavens veiled by urban haze and overcast skies. But that's fine. These past 2 years have taught you a vital truth, beyond the shop's lessons, beyond anything Takamura might voice. You've discovered your own strength. The urban sprawl that once daunted you is merely a locale after all, a vast one, intricate one that will challenge you unpredictably, yet fundamentally a human realm where folks strive to navigate their hours, much like yourself. That lad from Shinano who jumped at shadows, wandered astray at turns, and gawked at the world with rural wonder. That boy's remnants linger inside. You sense him occasionally amid surprises, but he no longer leads. At the helm is a fresh self, one adept at threading mobs, reading sheets, and returning safely after dusk, one who fits right here, precisely now. You're sufficiently sheltered, nourished, secure. A shelter above, meaningful tasks ahead, companions relying on your presence come morning to repeat the cycle. That's abundance for many. That's plenty. The city's murmurs soften, or perhaps your attention drifts away. The line between alertness and slumber hazes over, as it does in profound fatigue when the flesh deems vigilance unnecessary. Beyond, Edo presses on. Watchmen patrol with their rhythmic clappers signaling the watch. Lights glow in the licensed districts where courtesans charm affluent patrons. Steam baths welcome night shift toilers. Vendors push noodle stands along shadowed lanes. Warriors rest in their barracks, visions of glory and obligation in their minds. Traders doze in their residences, schemes of gain in their heads. Paupers cluster in shrine entrances, yearning for heat. The engravers, cutters, sheet preparers, pigment mixers, all those artisans rendering the ephemeral realm tangible, they rest as well, drained from their labors, primed to rise and recommence. And you, Saburo, novice, inker, youth from Shinano, weaver of unnamed aspirations, you descend into the void. Dawn approaches inevitably, yet tonight offers only this: slumber's gentle pull, the stillness of the quarters, the reliable respiration of your fellow apprentice nearby, the remote pulse of a metropolis that scarcely pauses. You shut your eyes. The final note is a far-off gong from a sanctuary, tolling a time too wearisome to track. Then silence, pure repose, a gentle easing into slumber, stretching out like an endless river. Ages will slip by unnoticed. The Edo you navigate daily will transform utterly. Those timber structures you pass on your routes will crumble in flames and rise anew. The Sumida River will be confined by sturdy concrete barriers. Roads will gain stone surfaces and glow under electric lamps. The shogunate will collapse. Samurai privileges will vanish. The strict social order shaping your every breath will fade into the annals of time. The metropolis will earn a new title: Tokyo. Capital of the East. The emperor will shift his court from Kyoto, infusing the former shogun's domain with royal aura. Yet inhabitants will persist here, laboring through the days, chasing visions in the quiet hours, and surrendering to sleep amid the urban murmur, pondering the dawn's promises. Certain truths endure. The essence of humanity remains steadfast. The craving for respite after exhaustive hours that persists unchanging. So welcome it. Allow drowsiness to claim you, just as it enveloped Saburo in his modest quarters on Toriko over 2 centuries and a half past. Permit the surroundings to blur. Silence the clamor. Ease your mind until it drifts, mellows, and at last stills. This repose is yours by right. Embrace it and wander into whatever visions await. Sleep well.